लिख रहा ऑन स्क्रीन बहुत अच्छे सर लग रहे हैं, बोल दीजिए हमारे तरफ से।
हम सब कर रहे हैं।
अभी नहीं। हाँ,
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back again to the class of strategic management. Yesterday we finished up block 2. Today we are going to start block 3 and we'll try to finish it up. So moving ahead, here in block 3 we'll talk about formulation of a strategy. And in block 3, we are going to start with unit 7, which speaks about business level strategies. And once we finish up this topic, you will be able to comprehend, we'll be able to understand the objectives which is mentioned over here. We'll discuss about the cost leadership strategy, differentiation and focus. Again, all these three things are known as generic strategies and given by Michael E. Porter. This is the structure. We'll start with introduction and end with summary. So moving ahead, look at this. Now, if you remember in our previous class, we spoke about Michael Porter's 5 forces which you work in an industry, and every company has to face that. Now, Porter also suggested that if you want to beat these 5 forces, and this is for every company or any company for that matter, you can resort to generic strategies which involves 3 things, that is cost leadership, differentiation and focus. So we'll talk about this entire first unit of block 3. We'll be focusing on this generic strategy which will be helpful to any company which is encountering those 5 forces what we discussed yesterday. So moving ahead, we'll talk about it. So first of all, understand why cost is important. Cost is important because on the basis of that, you are going to put your selling price and generate your profit. Lower the cost, more profit you can generate. Lower the cost, more selling price or the higher selling price you can keep. But if your cost goes higher, and in this competitive world you cannot fix selling price on your whims and fancies, then you have to compromise on your profit percent. So if I talk about cost, we'll talk about fixed cost as well as variable cost. So any company in today's time worth their salt, they always prefer to minimize their cost by introducing new technology, by introducing uh, efficient partners, by also introducing sales and marketing teams which are judicious in their spending approach. So Michael Porter in their generic strategy, he speaks about the cost leadership. That's why I explained this term cost to you. So cost means, if I talk about fixed and variable cost, whatever the input you are going to spend in manufacturing of any product or service. Look, arriving to cost in service becomes a bit difficult, becomes a bit complicated because it's intangible in nature, but that is not the case with a product. So any company would like to minimize, in fact, every company would like to minimize their costs so that they can play with their selling price and gain more profit. So moving ahead, look at this. This is Michael Porter generic strategy. He gave 3 things that if you want to encounter these 5 forces of market, you have to resort to these 3 strategies, either of 3 or combination of 2 or 3. So we'll understand, we'll study what exactly these 3 strategies are. I hope so far this is clear. I'm moving ahead. Now look at this, overall cost leadership. It talks about that company must try to minimize its cost, and it should be in leader in terms of the cost price in an industry. So that, as I said, lower the cost price, you can always play with your selling price and the profit. Now, if I can give an example, I can think of example like companies like mega marts like Walmart, Amazon. What they do, they directly source the things from the primary manufacturer. So they have completely deleted the intermediaries, so they don't have to pay the money to them. Hence, the cost gets lower and they can pass this benefit to the market. And they also, by this process, they also pose a great danger to the competition. But there are certain risks also involved. It might happen that once you lower your cost, once you lower your price, the other company will also follow the suit and it will start a price war. And the second is, as you know, we know this thing that technology is improving or like changing day to day on day-to-day basis. So other competition, you have brought down your cost by inventing or by introducing different type of technology, efficient distribution network, sales and marketing team. But there are companies who in your same industry will bring a better technology, better workforce, and they will try to bypass you. And the third point is that it might happen that you will have that cost leadership for a short period of time, but in the long run, the other companies will get at you by introducing different technology, by trying to emulate you, imitate you. So that cost leadership, the edge of what you have got by reducing the cost, you will be losing it. And the most important thing would be there are certain companies who are focusing only on a narrow section of the market. Maybe not, I'm not going for mass marketing, I'm not going for mass market. I will target only a pocket. Okay, because my product is like that, which is also known as a narrow market or niche market. Now there, because they are not targeting the entire market, they are targeting only small market. So their cost automatically will come down and they are going to pose challenge to your cost leadership tag. But anyways, Michael Porter suggested that if you want again to survive in an industry where these five forces are acting, the first generic strategy what you can resort to is overall cost leadership. Now we'll move ahead. Now differentiation. Now look at this. I would request you to look at yourself. Now we have a unique haircut or the way we talk, the way we walk, because we want to be different from others. आपने अक्सर सुना होगा कि लोग अपने बोलते हैं कि मैं सबकी तरह नहीं या मैं बिल्कुल अलग दिखना चाहता हूं. Because once you are different from others, the market will look up to you. The market will identify you. So differentiation, even though the five forces as per Porter are acting in industry, but if you have got a different product in terms of price, in terms of quality, in terms of any of the traits or feature, market will look up to you and they don't mind paying it. Take an example of luxury good. Now, if I talk Louis Vuitton, one of the luxury brands, they are into dresses, they are into handbags. Now, the handbags cost starting from 2 lakh rupees. It goes to 20 lakhs. So, but as they are different from the clutter, there are people, there are celebrities who don't mind buying Louis Vuitton and showcasing it. So if you are different, obviously the five forces will have a role to play, but because of your different attributes, different traits, which you are not part of Me Too clutter. Me Too clutter means like, in FMCG industry, the soap industry, most of the soaps are of same thing, of same kind. So there market is unable to differentiate. But if you have got a product which is different from others, then you will be noticed. But having said this thing, there are certain risks also involved in this strategy, which a company should take care of. Company which is following differentiation generic strategy, you can be copied very soon. Take an example of iPhone. Now, iPhone brings new features, but it is immediately like, after 1 month or 2 months, it is like imitated by Samsung and other phones. So at that too at a lower price. So people who are looking for iPhone feature, but they don't have such a deep pocket, or they don't want to spend so much of money, what they do? They prefer a second brand like Samsung or so and so forth. Now, the last point says any company which is pursuing a focus strategy. Focus means catering to a small section of the market. Now, I can differentiate further because I know my market, they are only handful, so I can experiment. So there, your differentiation strategy will go out of the window. So these are the risks associated with this strategy which a marketeer organization should take care of. So we discussed cost leadership. We also spoke about differentiation strategy. Now we'll talk about focus. Let's talk about differentiation. I mean, on what basis you can differentiate your product? You can differentiate your product on the basis of tangible products and intangible, which would be your goodwill, your brand name, your image. Tangible, your features, your size, your price. So these are two factors on which you can pursue your differentiation strategy. Moving ahead. Now look at this, cost of differentiation. As I have told you, and in fact I was talking about it, that you can use either of these three strategies or a combination of these three strategies. So here we are taking cost and differentiation, two strategies to encounter those five forces acting on industry. Now cost, I would like to minimize my cost to such a level that people will see the difference between others and my product in the same industry. Now how this is going to happen? This is going to happen if I have got the best of the technology, best of the manufacturing setup, my workforce is amazing, they're all skillful. So there I can reduce my cost and I will be differentiated simultaneously so that the market will take a notice of me. Take any example of, I can think of a shop called Dollar Shop. In places like Mumbai and Delhi, Dollar Shop is like you can get anything, at the rate of, let's say, 99 or 51 or 49. Anything, whatever they have got in their shop. So their price is less and they are selling everything, so that differentiate it from others. So these guys, they follow this thing. Moving ahead, we'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of differentiation. Now look at this. When I talk about advantages, you can always charge a premium price. I was talking about the luxury goods. Obviously, they charge a huge premium, which is not being charged by other brands. And if you are different from others, you will have a separate set of your loyalist, your loyal follower. They will be always with you, even though you are charging more, but they are not going to switch over. And if you are different, obviously, boss, you will have some edge over your competition because market notices you. And they always relate that difference with you only. So if I talk about, let's say, a complete man, if I say a tag, the first thing which comes to my mind is the Raymond suitings. So that is the differentiation they have created, the positioning they have created. But as everything has got two sides of coin, so even it has got disadvantages. Uniqueness, you might be trying to say that you are unique, but the market doesn't perceive it. They find you that you are also a Me Too brand. So there you are going to lose that edge. And if you are different, if you are charging more money, the market is not ready to pay. So what will happen? They will not give you, hence you will face losses. So you need to make this thing very, very clear and understandable to the market that you are different. And whatever premium you are charging because you have got a product which is not being sold by any others. And once you use it, you will have a separate class, a separate status in the society. If you are unable to do so, trust me, you are going to lose your money, you are going to make losses because this market doesn't perceive the way you want the market to perceive you. that will defeat the entire purpose. So we spoke about differentiation, we spoke about cost leadership, and finally we'll talk about the focus strategy, the third one. I would like you to read this thing. Meanwhile, I'll take a gulp of water. Now, focus strategy would be targeting a small patch of the market. It might happen that I don't have that expertise, that capability to go all around or to all out, to go or to do a mass marketing thing. Because I don't have that capability, I don't have that resources, the manpower, or my product is not like that. I will try to focus only on a small segment. I will cater to only few people so that I enjoy their loyalty. I avoid direct competition with a bigger player of the industry. Take an example of uh, of a shoe laundry. Now, I'm sure you would have heard of clothes laundry, but I have come across a laundry which only caters to take care of your costly shoes. That is a very small segment of the market, but they have got immense customer loyalty. There are people, and the kind of service they provide. They will go and fetch your shoes, they will clean it, give a nice treatment, and then again give you back. So they are targeting only to a smaller group. They are not, competing with the laundry shops which are into clothes and other accessories. They are only focusing on a small segment, and they are making money. They have got a loyal customer, and they don't have to do a lot of advertisement. They don't have to pay a lot of money. They don't have to expend money. So there, if you don't have the expertise and capability to go all market, then you should target only small segment. For an example, take an example of a restaurant. Now, restaurant I will not be catering to the all kind of food, continental, Indian, or Chinese. I will only focus to, let's say, Chinese. I will have noodles, momos, thupka, and so on and so forth. So people who would like to enjoy Chinese thing. Take an example of Yo China or China, mainland China. Now they are only into Chinese stuff, Chinese edibles. So I am not going to provide all kind of food, and I don't want to compete with other restaurants, but I have got a very narrow and very focused strategy. I will target only Chinese items, and they have got a huge following. But as I said, there are certain risks involved also with this focus strategy. It can be imitation and change in the target segments. Imitation. Other companies might imitate you. They will also start their own small, SBU, strategic business unit, to target that segment. Or maybe the target group changes their taste and liking. So far, I was liking Chinese food, but what happens after some times, I lost my interest in Chinese food. Now I'll go for continental. Second point, it would be very easy for the company which is pursuing cost leadership strategy to come and start competing with you, because they have got their cost very low, so they don't mind competing with you. So they will be in direct competition. Now, the third point, what you can see on your screen, there would be companies who would be better in catering to or in serving the segment than you, maybe because of their capabilities, their expertise, or they might carve another sub segment in that narrow segment. Now, I was talking about Chinese. In Chinese, I will only give, or I will only serve momos and thupkas. Thupka is a Bhutanese dish. I will serve only in that. So there also, in that narrow segment, there would be companies who will carve or will make sub-segment, and they might serve better than you. So as this focus strategy, which is part of general strategies, has got advantages, it has got some risks associated with you. The companies which are following this strategy should be careful. These are caveats, these are the warning signs that should be taken care of. I hope these three generic strategies of Michael Porter is clear to you, is clear to the class. There we understood that why these three strategies are important if a company wants to encounter the five forces which are at play in industry, or these three strategies can be also useful to counter your competition. And if you are following it religiously and to the point, trust me, you will beat your competition and will make good profit. So by this, we have finished up unit 7 in block 3. We'll move to now unit 8. Now, what exactly is unit 8? It is known as competitive strategy. Now, once we finish up this thing, you will be able to understand competitor analysis, which we have already spoken about, and different types of strategies a company uses in different industry. Now, structure is mentioned over here. Let's start with the introduction. Now, introduction, why we need to do this thing. Just again to remind you, competitive strategy. This is because you have to beat the competition. Because if you are not beating the competition, the market has got limited potential. Now, somebody can say, we won't, why we need to beat competition? We might work in tandem, in sync, and then we work together. No, in the real world, it doesn't happen like that. Because if you are a company and you want to make money, and same is the objective of other companies, you have to be at war, you have to compete among each other, you have to use your own strategy to beat those competition, because if you are not doing it, then trust me, sooner or later you have to be out from the market. You will not be part of competition, because you won't be making money, you will be losing money. So that's why competitive strategy is very, very important. Now, formulation of a strategy. Now I tell you what. Now, these strategies can be of two types. We all know what is strategy. We all know competitive strategy. A strategy which are used by a company to beat the competition, that is known as competitive strategy. Now it can be of two types, explicit and implicit. Now, explicit competitive strategies are made by lot of planning, by lot of deliberation. You sit on the drawing table with your team, and then you chart out, you chalk out your plan in comparison with or vis-a-vis the external factor, because competition lies externally, lies outside the wall of your company. So that becomes an explicit competitive strategy, and the second is implicit, which is done through the activities of different functional unit. Now, when I talk about different functional unit, if you remember in principle and practice of management, we study management functions. Management functions there are different functions like marketing, production, IT, human resource. Now, implicit competitive strategies, they are done by the different activities, by the different planning of the functional unit. Okay. And now here again, Porter. Look, Michael Porter, as I told in the first class, has been a very influential management guru as far as strategic management is concerned. He's on board, or he gives consultancy to many blue chip companies in the world. So he speaks about the wheel of competitive strategy. Now, what exactly is wheel of competitive strategy? You have seen a cycle wheel. Now, cycle wheel has a hub and there are spokes coming out of it. Now, hub is the goal of a company. Goal is what? To get more market share, to make money, to make more, to sell more product or service. And spokes would be your marketing, your R&D, your production, your human resource, your IT, your logistic, because these functional units are helping you out to achieve your goal. That is, goal is completely your goal. You want to be among the leader, you want to have more market share, the money or whatever. It's completely your choice, your vision and mission. So he talks about that wheel of competitive strategy, that all functional units which act as spokes of a cycle, they all lead to the hub, and they are joined to they are directional to the hub, which is center of that cycle wheel, which is the goal of any industry or any company. Moving ahead. Now, framework for competitor analysis. Look, as yesterday I told you that Chanakya said that if you want to beat your competition, you need to know their strengths and weaknesses. So in terms of doing an analysis of your competition, you should take care of, remember, 4 things which I mentioned over here. Your future goals. What exactly you want to be? Look, past is dead and gone. Current is happening, and no time it will be again dead. So the only place for lies for any company is the future. So I should be focusing what exactly I want to achieve, and second, what is my current strategy? Will this current strategy take me there to achieve my future goals? And third is assumption. Assumption means what I think, what my competition think about themselves, what the market think about me and about other companies. These assumptions are very important because these assumptions are perception. And marketing, perception plays a very, very big role in making your brand or breaking your image. And finally, the capabilities, very important. Look, I have got my future goal. I have got my current strategy also. I know what market thinks about me, about my competition, about the industry. But if I don't have the capability, I want to go to moon, but I don't have a rocket. ISRO is planning to send a manned rocket to the moon, I think in 24, Gaganyaan. So if I don't have the capabilities, and if ISRO is able to do so, it will be only 4th country after America, USSR, Russia, and China. So I should be also having this capability, expertise, the skill to do this thing, to do an analysis of my competition so that I can beat it and achieve my future goal. And if my current strategy is not happening, is not great, I need to change it. So this becomes a framework for competitor analysis. I hope I'm making sense. So moving ahead, look at this. Competitive moves. You might be wondering that why we are all focusing on competition and competitive strategy. But it's important because you have to compete. And this competition starts from your early life. If you go to school, there also you compete with other children. You come to college, you get a job, everywhere there's a competition. And I think that's a human nature. You want to beat others to be number one. Nobody wants to lag behind. Now there are certain moves, certain strategies which a company undertake in order to beat the competition. There are 2 types, non-threatening moves and threatening moves. Or non-threatening moves you can also call cooperative moves. You know what non-threatening moves are? Those moves which are not threatening to the competition. For an example, you are changing the structure of your organization. You are equipping your workforce with latest technology. So that's your thing. You are not trying to do any harm to the competition. But I talk about threatening moves, which are known as offensive moves. It means I reduce my price, I increase my advertising budget, I start doing sales promotion very often. So those things will be provocative in nature that will prompt your competition to do the same, more or less same. So if I talk about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, during summertime, they start a price war. If Pepsi drops the price, Coca-Cola will also drop the price. Same goes with the toothpaste. We talk about Colgate and Pepsodent. So these things, they become threatening. I remember talking about newspaper, the place where I belong to Patna, Bihar. So when Dainik Jagran was launching, the newspaper is from print industry, they reduced their price by 50 paisa or 75 paisa. Now, once they did so, other paper like now, which was leader, still is leader, Hindi Hindustan, they have to also reduce their price, because I have been telling you, market, barring few people who follow cult, the market is not loyal to you. They will simply switch over, because paper becomes a not very differentiated product. Every paper has got more or less similar news, similar presentation. The people will not mind switching from one paper to another paper if they get those papers, if they're getting this paper at a lower rate. So these are known as offensive competitive moves. Moving ahead, look at this dimension of competitive strategy. There are different aspects which a company should follow. If I talk about dimensions, different aspects of competitive strategy, first is specialization. What I actually specialize in. I am good at marketing subjects, so I need to excel in that. It will become very difficult for me to compete, for anyone to compete with me in this subject. But if you want me to talk about, let's say, production or law, then I will have limitation over there. Branding, if I have got a huge brand or a big brand name, I can always demand premium. People will come to me. Take an automobile industry, companies like Mercedes, known for their engineering and safety. There's a term called push versus pull. Push means the sales force has to push the product in the market. They have to go and sell it forcibly. Whereas pull, the company has got such a demand, the product has such a demand that they don't have to push it all. Customers and markets come automatically to buy your product. Fourth is distribution channel. I might be rocking on distribution channel. I have got a great distribution channel. I can reach to every nook and corner of country. Quality of product, very similar. It means that my product is so good that people don't mind paying a bit extra, but they would like to get my quality. Technological leadership, talk about like IT industry. I have got the cutting and best of technology. So the consumer will or have to come to me because I'm better than in terms of technology from my competition. Vertical integration. Vertical integration means in a distribution network, the people who are ahead of you, the people who are below you. Below people like your suppliers, people who are offering you the raw material. They are good. They are giving you quality product at a low price. And people who are above you, they are your distributors. They are giving selfish space to showcase your product. They are pushing that product. So there also you would be having an edge in terms of competitive strategy. Cost position, you already know. If my cost is less, I can always play around. Service. Very important when you talk about service marketing is one of the 7 P's of service. 7 P's is in service industry. There are 7 P's. And here people talk about that what is the service I am providing after selling my product. Pricing policy, obviously it is related with the cost. Lower the cost, more space I have to play with the pricing. It's up to me. I want to compete in the market. I will keep my pricing a bit low than others. Obviously, people will take notice of it. So these are certain strategies, certain aspects on which I can compete with my competition in the market. I hope this is clear. I'll move ahead. Now we'll talk about fragmented industry and competitive strategy. Please go through this. I'll have another go. You know what is fragmented industry? These are small or medium-sized companies which are not leader in the industry, but they have got sizable number and they have got impact on the industry. I know this fragmented industry will fall under every industry, be it product, service, retail, agriculture, automobile, you name it. So you might ask that if these companies are sizable in number, but why they are not leader of their industry? So there are certain spots, weak spots, where they lack in order to become the leader of that industry. It's mentioned over here in bold font, aiming for dominance, dearth of strategic discipline, over centralization, false assumption and reaction to new product. Look, if you become myopic, myopic is short-sightedness. If you study science, in life you have to read this thing. So if you are unaware about your capabilities, about your weaknesses, you don't have the right skill. You have got false or fake aura about yourself. Then it might not lead you to number one position because market perceives it the way you don't perceive it, the way you want yourself to be perceived. Over centralization of command. Now talk about bigger companies. Now these bigger companies, I will give you another example of Hindustan Unilever Limited, HUL. Now they have got different SBUs, strategic business unit, which has got their own bosses, they have got their own plans, own strategies, and they are free to take most of the decisions. But here what happens in fragmented industry, the command is very much centralized. Centralized means it is resorted to only one person or to few people. Now for everything, you have to take approval from that central command. That becomes a humongous, a tedious task when you are competing and you need quick decisions. The last point is reaction to new products. Now these industries, these companies, as they are not leaders, they are barely surviving. They are not making huge money. So when the competition launches a new product with new variants, with new attributes, they are late in reacting to it. And if you are late in reacting, that product will engulf the market. Market will buy it, will receive it with open arms, and they will take the entire cream. They will skim the market. Until the time you realize it, you're already late. So that's why these are the reasons why these industries, though they have got sizable numbers, but they are not market leaders because they have got certain issues which they need to finish up. We'll move ahead. Emerging industry and competitive strategy. Look at this. If I talk about emerging or sunrise industry, we all know the best example would be online or e-commerce. Now, e-commerce industry, as this industry is new, it has no fixed set of rules and regulation. There are no specific rules. So whatever you want, you can do it. But this makes these things slightly risky also, because the industry where there are rules, the rules are structured, you have to act accordingly. But this emerging industry, they are getting eyeballs of the market, they are catching the attention, and they are known as sunrise industry because they are doing pretty good. They are catering to the market, they are paying their taxes, they are making their money. So if you see all these industries like solar power, wind power, online game, you name it, OTT platform, social media platforms, All these things are emerging industry, and they have got their own set of strategy, which might not be traditional. They would be a bit weird, but those weird strategies are getting their job done. As this industry, as I've been telling, it has no fixed rules because still this industry is in nascent stage, growing stage. It will take some time to saturate and have rules and regulation in place. But till time, this industry is doing great. And I'm telling you, new startups, they are coming up with a unique strategies, which was never heard of, and they are beating their competition hands down. We'll move ahead. Now, there are certain industries which are into dying phase. They are into declining phase. And why they are known as declining? Because they are not making money. Their market share is dwindling. Their presence in market is falling down. So that's why if you are not making money, you won't be able to invest in your R&D, in your skill upgradation. So these things will pull you down and will make you a defunct company in the declining industry. Now, once like you are dying, it doesn't mean that's the end of the thing. You have got certain strategies which you can use in order to survive or in order to recover from the declining phase. First one is leadership strategy. Leadership can be of anything. We spoke about cost leadership. So if you want to do that, you reduce your cost. Or if you've got a more market share, you hold on to that. Or if you are unable to have a leadership strategy, you may be following a niche strategy, follow it. No, targeting only small patch, so you don't have to invest so much of money. We are talking about Michael Porter focus strategy, if you remember, in your previous unit. Harvest strategy. Most of the declining companies, they do so. Harvest means you don't invest, you don't make any fresh investment in that. You stop your R&D, you stop your skill upgradation, you stop your IT upgradation, but you try to maximize the return from my company. That is a harvest strategy. And once you do that, slowly and steadily, the company will die, but you will be able to recover your money as well as plus some premium. And once you do that, what you do is sell off, you divest that company. Either you sell the entire company or sell the part of it so that you get more money. So these are the competitive strategies which are being undertaken or which are followed by company which are making loss, which are dying. And to tell you, these 4 or 5 strategies come handy to them. It can be one or combination of 2 or 3, but it comes handy and it gives them certain leverage and they are able to recover their money. We'll move ahead. So in summary, we spoke about the competitive strategy, Michael Porter wheel of competitive strategy, where I talk about the cycle wheel. We also spoke about different strategies followed by fragmented industry, declining industry, and so hence and so forth. So these strategies, if they are used judiciously, trust me, company will come out of their dying phase. The fragmented industry will have their leader, and this competitive strategy will be able to help a company to beat its competition. Now, without any further delay, we'll move to Unit 9. We'll talk about corporate level strategy. अभी हमने बात किया competitive strategy का, अभी हम लोग बात करेंगे corporate level strategy, where we'll talk about different strategy at the level of corporate, that is the business level. We'll talk about diversification, retrenchment strategy, turnaround strategy. So let's see. Let's go through this thing. Yeah. Now, as we say in industry, every company follows a different strategy. So obviously their strategy, because the goal is different, so the strategy they use are different. Now, as per the Porter, he says the division of strategy at two level hierarchy. If I talk about, one is business level, that is competitive strategy, and second is corporate strategy. Corporate strategy, where you would like to be, what business you are in. We'll talk about that thing. That whatever we are doing, is it good? And where we would like to do that? Where would we like to be after 5 years, 10 years down the line? And competitive strategy, which is business level strategy, will talk about or will give you an idea that what should I do in order to be in that position, what I envisage in corporate strategy, what I see to get in corporate strategy. So Michael Porter says two a level of corporate strategy. One is corporate strategy and second is competitive strategy. We'll see further what exactly is nature and scope of corporate strategy, why it is important. Look, as far as I know, you are able to make, or you will be able to achieve things if you have got the right strategy in place. And we need a strategy because we want to avoid or encounter risk. We want to make money. So that's why this corporate strategy, which is also sometimes known as grand strategies. And grand strategy, there are sub-strategies like consolidation, expansion, divestment, which we'll discuss in further slides. So I choose one of the strategy or combination of strategy because of certain factors. I want to make money. I want to avoid risk. I want to see a long-term goal being fulfilled by approaching this strategy. So one by one, we'll see these strategies. Let's talk about. We are talking about corporate strategy. First is stability strategy. Here, you don't make any changes. You don't make any changes. You simply hold on to the position and keep yourself stable. That becomes a stability strategy. I'm talking about growth strategy where you are investing more money, you are getting into the new market, you are expanding yourself, you are introducing new products in your product mix, and you are trying to get more market share, you are trying to get more volume of new product or existing products. So that means you are following a growth strategy. Retrenchment strategy, as the name suggests, you start retrenching maybe your product, maybe your product line, maybe your investment, your R&D, where you are not very sure that how the industry says it's already reached the mature stage and it's dying, it's declining. Or your companies or your product, they have reached mature stage and they are on verge of decline. So there you would not like to invest further. So you will retrench, you will take back, you will stop yourself from investing further. And combination, it can be combination of all three or one or two. So either of these four, out of these four strategy, you can choose any of it. Maybe one, two, or maybe combination of both. We'll see further what exactly it is. Stability strategy. If you read this thing, wherever I am, if I am number one, number two, I would like to hold my position. So holding the position, I will try to fine tune. I will try to fill the loopholes in my current way of doing business. Maybe I will upgrade my skill. Maybe I will overhaul my distribution network. But whatever I am very happy with that. So I will keep my position stable. Moving ahead, I would expansion strategies. I would like to grow. Now tell me, any of you would say that I don't want to grow. I don't want to expand my horizon. Same goes with the company. The more market you tap, you'll be making more money out of it. So if I am okay with my current business. If I am making money, I am ready to tap new market because I have got expertise, I have got capabilities and competencies. So my products are being valued and I can see that new market will also welcome my product. Or maybe the current market is not very stable, it's risky, there are new entrants, I am facing huge competition. So in order to avoid that, or in order to have something in my back, I'll go to expansion. I'll go for expansion. I'll go in the market. I'll introduce new product. So this is true for expansion strategy. Okay, we'll move further. Diversification, as the name suggests, I introduce or I change or I go into new line of business. It might be a new market or it might be a new product. There are different types of diversification: concentric, conglomerate. Concentric means you have the same product but you go in a different market. Conglomerate, completely unrelated new product in the same market. So diversification means if you are, or if you can see that your existing product or services, they are or they have reached a place or a position where you are not growing any further. So I would like to go and tap a new market. The market which has not been so far tapped by me, but I will introduce new product which is completely unrelated to my current work. That thing is known as diversification. I hope this is clear. We spoke about stability strategy. We spoke about expansion strategy. We also spoke about diversification. Now we'll talk about, before we talk about the final thing, we'll also talk about what are the rules for diversification. How we can do that. So first thing first is merger and acquisition. You buy a company or two companies merge together to form a new entity for the business. Any big company buying a small company, like Pantaloons have been bought. Talk about a strategic partnering. Two companies coming together, sharing their resources, their technical know-how in order to run a company. Same goes with the joint venture. Joint venture, take an example of Hero Honda, Maruti Suzuki, or even banks, Kotak Mahindra Bank. So these two companies, they come together, they share their capability for a particular line of business. Take an example of Kotak Mahindra Bank. Now Mahindra is into different, Kotak is into different. Now they come together to tap this thing, tap this financial market. So a new entity comes up. That becomes a joint venture. And as they're talking about diversification, I would be doing these three things, these three merger and acquisition, strategic partnering, joint venture, because I want to do something new which is not part of my current business. So these are the alternative routes to diversification. Now we'll talk about retrenchment strategy. As I said, the name is self-explanatory. Here the managers, they do some kind of a small operation because maybe they just slow down. Take an example of Corona pandemic. We are not selling the product. So we don't require this kind of huge manpower. So we'll reduce that. We'll try to lay off certain declining product, which we don't see judiciously, they are good for us, for the company. Or maybe it's a time for a major operation, a major change. Because if you have to survive, you are not supposed to carry a huge baggage on your back because that will not make you agile. So there are few retrenchment strategies or we can say a few extension of retrenchment strategies which companies resort to while going for this. First is turnaround strategy. What they do, they will employ a new set of management. I can think of an example called Tata Nano. When Nano car was launched, it was branded as a Latakia car. But Indian people, they were not very gung-ho or very happy to buy 1 lakh car because of that status, social status thing. So Tata again sat back and they completely changed it. They introduced music system, they introduced AC, and they targeted youngsters, people who are fresh from their MBA college, their grad, and they have started working. So I employ a new set of people with latest new technology so that I can turn around the declining company into a new company, into a better performing company. Second would be survival strategy. Here I would be like, whatever I do, I need to survive in the market. To survive in the market, I need to have my expenses in control. If my expenses are in control, in line with my expenditure, with my income, then that would be good. I will be able to survive. I will be able to keep my head above the water. So it might be changing my distribution network, or laying off people, or not upgrading the IT. I mean, whatever things I can do, I will do in order to survive. And the last is liquidation strategy. If all these strategies they fail, then liquidation is finally selling it off the company or a part of company so that I should recover some money. If I don't do that, that dying company will be dead and long gone. So I should be liquidating those, or the assets of the company, trying to sell it off to recover some money, and in a hope that people or the company which is buying my company will do something, will do some wonder, and will turn around. Because it's always sad to see the company which you started, you see with your eyes that that company is dying. So it's always not a good sight. So, but as part of this retrenchment strategies, we also do these things. Now, moving ahead, in summary, we would like to talk about, here we spoke about the strategies, the corporate level strategies. We spoke about why it is important, what are different methods of diversification, what are the retrenchment strategies which you can resort to, which a company can resort to while facing a dilemma. If your job, if your company is not doing good. So this will help my company or any company, if I resort to these strategies, to recover some money, to help me to survive, even though I have to lay off people, even though I have to let go some product, some services. So these things will help my company or help any organization, any marketeer to go about doing the business. So in this, we have finished up block 3. In block 3, we did unit 7, 8, and 9. If you remember, in these 3 units, we spoke about Porter generic strategies. We spoke about Porter wheel of competitive strategy. We spoke about different strategy when companies are looking at the declining phase. We talk about retrenchment company. We spoke about fragmented industries. So all these things makes your class, and I hope you are able to have a pretty good idea about different level of strategies. So keeping it so much only for today class. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Namaste. Yeah.
मैसेज भी करते हैं क्लास ओवर हो गया बंद करने का नाम अच्छा नहीं लगता शेयर करो चलिए बुक कर दें
मुझे